A girl stood on top of a tall building. She apologized to her father, saying she could not take it anymore, and then ended her life. Later, the news revealed she had been a victim of school bullying. Her classmates had treated her cruelly, forcing her to wear a leash and walk like an animal, making her eat burned cigarettes and drawing on her body while sometimes recording it. Her father, Mr. Lee, was later identified as a very influential man and the chairman of a wealthy group. When he appeared in the media, he forgave the students who had bullied his daughter, which shocked the public. Many thought he was devastated and perhaps not thinking clearly, refusing to punish those responsible. His words of forgiveness caused anger, and people began questioning him, with some even doubting whether he was truly her father. In truth, he was deeply heartbroken and overwhelmed by the loss of his only daughter. He simply could not bring himself to send the students to a detention center. In reality, Mr. Lee knew that sending the students to a detention center would not bring true justice. He could not really forgive them, but he also knew that punishment would only keep them there for a short time before they returned to normal life. He regretted not teaching his daughter to be less soft-hearted and to share her struggles more openly. She became a target of bullying because she once stepped in to protect another girl. Now, he blames himself for not teaching her to care more for herself. At that moment, the assistant brought in the girl Mr. Lee had spoken of earlier. He asked her if she was sure about her decision. This girl turned out to be Karma, his stepdaughter. She thanked him for allowing her to live with him. Mr. Dial. Lee then told Karma to get ready for school, which surprised the assistant, who objected to sending her. Karma was excited about the idea of going to school, but the assistant continued to protest. Lee told Karma to get ready for school and encouraged her to make some friends. Karma, however, told him to stop hiding his true meaning, saying he really meant Plaything, which left Mr. Lee surprised. The next day, in late May of the following year, at the main school, a troubling incident took place. A girl pressured another student to drink spoiled milk. She cut off some of her hair with scissors, dropped it into the milk, and insisted she drink it. The milk also had insects in it, making it unpleasant, but the bullies threatened to cut more of her hair if she refused. Everyone around witnessed the scene, but no one stepped in. This student was the same one connected to Mr. Lee's daughter's death, yet she had never faced any punishment. Her name was Sung, and she was the main one responsible. Although she was charged with serious assault, she never received proper punishment. During one noisy incident, the class president, who sat at the front, became annoyed and stood up to stop them. Just then, the door opened, and everyone grew quiet as the teacher entered. The bullies also settled down, but warned the girl that if she spoke to the teacher, they would spread her photos and continue to trouble her. The teacher then introduced Karma to the class, explaining she came from a neighboring country. Karma greeted everyone and introduced herself. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee's assistants advised him to reconsider sending Karma to school. They suggested she should be sent back to a juvenile center because of her past record, worrying that if she caused trouble again, they would not be able to control the situation. Since Karma was Mr. Lee's stepdaughter, he knew he would also be held responsible if anything went wrong. He told his assistant that he had not adopted a daughter, but taken in someone who must be treated with strict discipline, which left the assistant silent. In truth, Karma had been discovered alone in 2018, at the age of 13, by authorities near a river. Medical reports from the neighboring country revealed that she had suffered frontal lobe damage due to experiments, and experts diagnosed her with a rare condition where she could not feel pain or shame. Investigators also found her clothes marked with traces from several violent incidents. She was sent to a juvenile detention and education center, but reacted aggressively, often clashing with other children and young offenders. Because of her unusual strength, she was later transferred to a juvenile protection review board. Eventually, she was placed on probation after Mr. Lee personally requested it from the Ministry of Justice. Meanwhile, at school, Sung began to see Karma as someone unusual and thought she had found a new target. At the same time, Karma herself looked at Sung with similar thoughts. At lunchtime, many students gathered around Karma. Even boys from other schools came to see her, since she was attractive and from a neighboring country. They asked her many questions about her background, and Karma responded politely, introducing herself and repeating her name and where she was from. The girl who had been bullied earlier also noticed Karma. She saw how everyone laughed and paid attention to her, and she felt jealous that Karma had become so popular on her very first day. At that moment, Sung approached Karma with two of her friends. The girl sitting next to Karma immediately felt nervous. Sung introduced herself and asked Karma to become closer friends and join her group. The girl beside Karma was surprised, thinking Sung was too low-level to bother trying to bully a transfer student, but Karma instantly recognized her. Before starting school, Mr. Lee and his assistant had told Karma that Sung would be her first target. Karma had already commented that Sung looked unpleasant. Mr. Lee and his assistant had told Karma that Sung was one of the students who often mistreated his daughter. According to the diary left behind, Sung sometimes kicked her around the apartment area. She was also the one who suggested the bullying with the dog leash. Even though her role was smaller compared to others, she was still actively involved. Now, she was a high school student in the same city. They had predicted that because of her personality, Sung would likely be the first to approach Karma when she transferred. Karma told them not to worry, saying if Sung came near her, she would endure whatever happened. But Mr. Lee explained that the most important thing was, if Sung approached, Karma should respond by acting like her friend. In the present, Karma agreed to be Sung's friend, which surprised Sung and made her happy that Karma joined her group. Sung immediately hugged her. She then turned to the girl sitting beside Karma and asked her to introduce herself. Olivia became frightened. Sung suggested they should get closer as classmates and proposed a game. She told her two friends to cover Olivia's face with a plastic bag. They followed, and Olivia struggled. Sung found it amusing. When Karma asked about it, Sung replied that Olivia had accidentally hit her desk and dropped her phone. Afterward, they made Olivia walk around the classroom with her eyes closed, saying that if she bumped into a desk, they would give her spoiled milk as a so-called reward. The girl had no choice but to walk carefully without touching any desks. Sung pushed her forward, and while walking through the middle of the classroom, she accidentally bumped into a desk. Sung immediately kicked her, causing her to fall into another desk, then kicked her again and told her to crawl. The girl began to cry, but the other students and even the class president only watched. The president looked upset at Sung's behavior. Sung then turned to Karma and told her to join in, suggesting that at lunchtime they should cover the girl with a bag and throw her into the boys' bathroom. This shocked the class president, who quickly stood up to stop it, but before anything could happen, Karma stopped Sung herself. This surprised the president as well. Meanwhile, Olivia was still crying under the bag. Karma told Sung not to do it and apologized to Olivia, which left Sung surprised for a moment before she became angry. She pushed Olivia aside, and she and her friends confronted Karma. Sung told Karma she should understand that she was in charge here and had to either follow along or leave unless she wanted to fight. Karma replied that if this continued, she would call the teacher. Sung and her friends laughed, saying they didn't care what the teacher would do. Then Sung kicked Karma in the stomach. Karma remembered the promise she made to Mr. Lee that no matter what, she should never strike first. The plan was for her to appear like an innocent victim at school so that Sung's actions would be exposed and dealt with later. She only needed to endure Sung's behavior for at least a week. Karma thought to herself that it might be difficult to hold back, but Mr. Lee had told her to at least take the first hit before doing anything in return. Now that Sung had attacked her, the real conflict was about to begin in front of everyone. Just then, the teachers came into the classroom and told all the girls to leave since the gym class was about to begin, and they needed to change into their gym uniforms. At that moment, Karma remembered another thing Mr. Lee had told her, that she must endure the bullying for at least 1 week. Otherwise, he would not forgive her. For Karma, taking the violence was not difficult since she could not feel pain, but she still felt angry because of Sung. Sung told her that they would continue their games during the next break. Later, Sung went to the schoolyard with her friends to smoke. She laughed while sitting on Olivia, forcing her to put cigarette butts in her mouth without letting them touch the ground. She warned her to finish before the break ended, or else she would make her eat all of them. Her friends laughed along with her. Suddenly, they heard footsteps and became nervous, but when the figure appeared, Sung relaxed after seeing it was only the class president and not a teacher. The president told them to stop what they were doing. Olivia looked at her, but then thought she should not hope for help, as the president might also end up becoming another target. Instead of stopping them, the class president took a cigarette from Sung and started smoking it herself. This surprised Olivia. Then the president removed her glasses, revealing that she was actually the leader behind Sung. She told Olivia that it had been a year since she had caused a student's death. The class president's real name was Moon. She was 16 years old and was identified as Predator Number B. She had also been charged in the case involving Mr. Lee's daughter. Olivia was shocked to realize that the class president was connected to Sung's group. Moon told Sung and her friends that rumors of their bullying were spreading to other classes. When they asked who was spreading the rumors, Moon became angry and warned them to stay quiet, saying she only followed orders. Her words frightened the girls. Sung then tried to ease the situation by asking her not to create tension and to calm down. Moon told her that they were now in high school and she was already planning for college. Moon told the group that she couldn't act like a fool like them, and warned them not to involve her in their careless actions. This annoyed Sung because Moon often lectured her and rarely acknowledged them, even though they were now in high school. In Sung's mind, all three of them were being treated like simple followers. Since middle school, Moon had pretended to be a proper leader, sitting quietly while making them look like the ones doing all the bad things. But when no one was around, Moon was actually harsher than Sung herself. Because of this, Sung disliked her and even thought she was worse than her. Suddenly, Moon noticed Sung staring at her and asked why. Sung quickly apologized, saying she hadn't meant to stare, and turned her face away. The president then told them they could do whatever they wanted and walked out. Sung felt even more annoyed because of Moon. The president walked up to Olivia and told her it had been difficult to hold everything back. She warned Olivia that if she revealed anything about her, she would make her life miserable and might even harm her. Moon then pressed her foot down on Olivia's hand, making her cry and plead for her to stop. Olivia promised she would never cause trouble for Moon and would not report her to the school committee. Moon finally lifted her foot, which left Olivia and Sung both on the ground. This angered Sung, and she lashed out by kicking Olivia. Seeing Sung react this way, Moon laughed at her, which made Sung even more irritated. Moon then told them to stop wasting time and head back to class. Moon put her glasses back on and returned to gym class. As she left, Sung made a rude gesture behind her, but Moon suddenly stopped walking, which frightened Sung right away. Moon then told her to deal with the new transfer student Karma because her confident attitude was irritating. Meanwhile, during gym class, Karma explained to the teacher that she didn't have gym clothes, so she would just play soccer in her school uniform. The teacher allowed Karma to join the game in her school uniform. The other girls admired her, unaware that Sung was sitting nearby and listening to them. Sung, feeling annoyed, began thinking about targeting Karma next since she had grown tired of Olivia. During the game, Karma kicked the ball with such force that it shocked everyone, including the goalkeeper, President Moon, and all the girls watching. She kicked a second ball just as strongly, again surprising everyone. On her third kick, she aimed at the goalpost, but the ball bounced off and went towards Sung and her friend. Sung's friend became irritated and shouted at Karma, but the moment she looked at Karma's face, she grew frightened and tried to stop Sung from starting trouble. Sung, however, became furious, convinced that Karma was deliberately challenging her. Right after gym class ended, she went back to the classroom and began mocking Karma. Sung shouted at Karma, accusing her of aiming the ball at her on purpose. Karma calmly admitted it, saying she imagined the ball as Sung's head. Sung told her to try kicking now, but Karma replied that she couldn't, since Sung's head wasn't on the ground. This made Sung even more upset. Karma then asked if she was scared, since she always brought her friends along. Irritated, Sung tried to slap Karma, but Karma quickly punched her in the face. For the first time, Sung was actually hit and fell to the floor. This shocked her friends and even the class president. Karma told her that she herself had given her the reason to fight back. When Sung tried to stand up, she fell again from the punch. She asked for a break, but it was too late. Karma told her that her face looked like a ball to her. Chage4 Karma stepped on Sung's face and told her she would no longer hold back, saying she wanted to kick her head like she had imagined earlier. One of Sung's friends grabbed a chair and tried to attack Karma, but Karma dodged it easily. The girl stumbled over her own foot and fell. Karma laughed at her and mocked her clumsiness. She pulled the girl up by her hair and asked if she wanted her wish granted first, shocking everyone. Then Karma tied her hands behind her back using her own hair. She dragged her to the front desk and slammed her face onto it, then did it again. Everyone in the room was stunned, and the third girl became terrified. The class president also watched the scene, but instead of stepping in, she calmed herself and left to call the teacher. The girl tried to scream for help, but no one stepped in. Karma then turned to the princess, who quickly panicked and said she had nothing to do with it. She tried to run but tripped over a desk, where a cutter fell from a pencil box. She grabbed it and warned Karma to stay away. Karma told her she could do as she wished. When Karma stepped forward, the girl lost control and attacked, but Karma dodged every strike and slammed her to the ground. The cutter slipped from her hand and she was too shocked to realize what happened. Karma pulled her up by her hair. The girl cried out that she would die, but Karma told her that people don't break that easily and told her to stop crying. She then kicked her into a locker, and the second kick forced her face inside it. Karma then silenced everyone, saying she didn't need anyone's sympathy. Karma reminded everyone that she had been the victim of their bullying first, and that they should actually be grateful to her, since none of them were strong enough to stand up against it. Then she noticed Sung trying to escape through the back door, but the door was locked. Karma ran after her, kicked her from behind, and both of them fell in the hallway. Karma grabbed Sung by the face and punched her several times, leaving everyone stunned. Soon, Karma realized Sung had fallen unconscious, and she seemed to take satisfaction in it. At that moment, the teacher and the president entered the classroom and stopped her. Later, Mr. Lee's assistant rushed into his office and reported that Karma had failed to follow the plan of staying patient and acting like a victim for at least 1 week. Lee stayed silent for a moment before saying he could not wait any longer. He told his assistant that what was done, and that they should now focus on the present. He then asked about the situation. At school, Karma glanced at the president with a look that clearly meant she would be next. Later, in the teacher's office, Sung's mother arrived. She shouted at the teachers and staff about what Karma had done to her daughter. She also mentioned that her husband was the head of a major company and close like a brother to the school principal. She demanded that the vice principal call Karma's parents. Meanwhile, Karma began crying in front of Sung's mother, surprising everyone. When asked why, she showed the bruises on her body and explained that Sung had caused them. The teachers and staff were shocked, and they quickly believed Karma since they already knew Sung had a reputation for bullying other students. In truth, Karma had already planned this for her own safety and had made the bruise marks on herself. For a moment, Sung and her mother were shocked, and even her mother began to doubt Sung. But quickly, she blamed everything on Karma, insisting that she was lying. She also pointed out that the faces of the other girls showed how harshly Karma had treated them. She told the vice principal to call Karma's parents. The vice principal handed her the phone, and Sung's mother spoke directly with Mr. Lee, demanding that he come to the school immediately, kneel, and apologize. Lee refused right away, saying he was very busy and could not visit the school that day for any settlement. He told them he would decide the date, time, and place himself, then hung up the phone. This surprised everyone. In anger, Sung's mother snapped and told Karma that her father was no different from her. Sung left with her daughter and warned Karma that they would make her life difficult, but Karma simply smiled, realizing she had nothing to worry about since her stepfather would take care of everything. She thought his plan was too complicated anyway, which was why she hadn't been able to hold herself back. Later, Sung returned to the classroom and confronted Moon. She shouted at her, asking why she'd taken so long to bring the teacher. The president replied that she was not some kind of supercar to move instantly. Sung then suggested that Moon had delayed on purpose because she was afraid Karma would expose her, and that Karma's next target might be her. This angered Moon, who threw a book at Sung's face and kicked her in the stomach, sending her into the corner of the classroom. She warned Sung to stay quiet or face the consequences. Sung threatened the president, saying she must be as crazy as her mother, who was still at school and had just left the office. But the president told her that was even better. She could bring her mother, and she would deal with her as well. This left Sung shocked and silent. The president reminded her that she had only been acting like a leader because of her family's influence, and without it, she would be nothing more than a follower. She told her to stop pretending to be in charge. Sung shouted a few angry words and left the classroom, not wanting to risk another attack. The president, meanwhile, grew restless thinking about Karma, and finally decided to wait and observe her before making her next move. Later at home, Sung's older brother laughed at her bruised face. She told him not to make fun of her, and when he asked who was responsible, she showed him Karma's picture. This made him interested. His name was Jin W, Predator Number C, and he had also been involved in the case of Mr. Lee's daughter. The main accusations against him were taking part in group assaults and illegal recordings. Sung felt relieved, thinking she could now get revenge since her brother would take action for her. The next day, Jin confronted Karma while she was on her way home. Sung and her friend were with Jin, planning to record Karma. Jin started filming while his friends tried to harass her. Meanwhile, in another discussion, Mr. Lee's assistant explained that usually women lose to male fighters. He gave an example of a female fighter, a 4-time world champion considered the strongest, who fought a male fighter from a smaller league in the same weight class. And the man still won quickly by knockout in just 2 rounds. But in Karma's case, he said it was different. She had the potential to defeat a man because of the adrenaline she could trigger at will, a result of the psychological and biological experiments conducted on her in the neighboring country. The experiment had caused Karma's body to react in a unique way. Whenever she sensed even a small threat, her adrenaline would spike, giving her extreme strength. In those moments, she could fight with the power of a heavyweight male fighter, making it possible for her to take down several opponents at once. Her first punch shocked everyone. Jin W quickly ordered all of them to attack her together, so they rushed at her. But Karma decided to fight them one by one and moved quickly to avoid being surrounded. She slammed the first person's face against a railing. The second came at her with a punch, but she dodged it and struck him in the face instead. The others tried to land punches too, but she dodged them all and knocked both of them out. The last one was hit with a strong kick to the face. Just then, one of the attackers managed to get back up and grab Karma so the other could try to hit her. As the other attacker rushed to punch Karma, she dodged and kicked him away. For the one holding her, she quickly took his screwdriver, which caused him to collapse. She then grabbed him firmly, leaving the others shocked. One of them, realizing the danger, ran off to save himself. Karma chased after him and kicked him, making him fall straight onto his bike. Sung and her brother watched everything in shock. Sung grew frightened by Karma's stare and pushed her brother forward to continue the fight. But for the first time, Jin W himself felt nervous about facing a girl. When Karma mocked him for being afraid despite being a man, Jin W tried to punch her again, but she dodged every strike with ease. Jin W soon noticed that Karma's speed was slowing down, which meant her stamina was running low. He decided it was the right time to finish the fight with a strong final blow. But even then, Karma dodged all of his powerful strikes. Suddenly, she tripped over something, and Jin W saw his chance to punch her. Just as he went for it, Karma seemed to vanish right in front of him, leaving him shocked. This revealed her third ability. She could move with such explosive speed that it looked like she had teleported. Using this, she struck Jin W in the face, nearly knocking him out. Sung and her friends started crying and tried to wake him up, saying that, as a man, he shouldn't lose like this. But Jin W got angry at them and told Sung that if she was so eager for a fight, she should face Karma herself. Karma mocked them, which made Jin W furious. He got back up, charged at her, and knocked her down with a spear throw. As he tried to punch her face, Karma quickly tackled him and locked his arm in a hold. When she began tightening her grip, Jin W tapped out and begged her to stop, saying he had already surrendered. But Karma told him she wanted to see whether he was truly strong or just weak enough to break. She tightened her hold until his arm snapped. Seeing this, Sung and her friend immediately ran away. Jin W was shocked that his own sister left him behind. He thought Karma would stop after breaking his arm, but instead, she decided to continue. She grabbed his leg and broke it, then went on to break both of his legs. Finally, she mocked him further while stepping on him, leaving him completely humiliated. Karma threatened Jin W, saying she enjoyed seeing others cry. Jin W begged and screamed for her to stop, but she ignored him and crushed one of his limbs. Meanwhile, Sung and her friends ran as fast as they could, thinking they had gone far enough that Karma would not catch up. One of the girls asked Sung why she had brought them to such a deserted place. Sung explained that whenever her brother and his group targeted someone, they always chose areas where no one else could see, and this walkway was one of those places. The girls realized she was right. From where they were, the path was wide enough for them to see the boys lying on the ground behind them, but Karma herself was nowhere in sight. Sung quickly told her friends to run. When they asked why, she snapped at them to just keep running. Even though they grew exhausted, their fear of Karma pushed them to run as fast as they could. Suddenly, Karma appeared in front of Sung and struck her with a scooter, knocking her onto the road. The other two girls were stunned at the sight. They asked Karma how she got there so quickly. She explained that she had taken an electric scooter and circled around the street to get ahead of them. Since the scooter was illegally modified to go beyond the speed limit, she told them it was now time for all three of them to learn another lesson. One of the girls panicked and ran in the opposite direction, but Karma chased her on the electric scooter, grabbed her by the hair, and threw her onto the road. Later, all three of them ended up kneeling in front of her. Karma asked what their plan had been when they tried to set her up. She demanded Sung's phone. At first, Sung hesitated, but when Karma pressed her foot on her, she screamed and quickly handed it over. Looking through the phone, Karma discovered that Sung had many private photos of classmates and other girls, which had been taken without permission and used to blackmail them. Karma scolded her for this, and after pausing for a moment, she suddenly threw the phone to the ground and smashed it. Then she told them that from now on, her new dream was to become a photographer. Inspired by Jinu, Karma said she would start taking photos right away. She gave the girls two options: cooperate quietly for her photo shoot, or be knocked out and forced. One of the girls immediately begged and apologized, but when she hesitated, Karma kicked her in the face, scaring the others into doing exactly what Karma demanded. Meanwhile, Mr. Lee's assistant waited outside his office, thinking about the original plan. Since Karma could not feel pain, the idea was for her to endure bullying for 2 to 3 weeks. After that, during summer break, a meeting with the school violence committee would take place. At that point, the juvenile judge, already influenced by Mr. Lee, would hand Sung and her brother a Type 3 punishment, sending them to do community service on a remote island. That facility was secretly prepared as a front, meant to isolate them completely from the outside world, where Karma would have 200 hours to make them suffer. The assistant grew frustrated that Karma had ruined all of Mr. Lee's careful planning. Just then, the assistant noticed Karma walking toward Mr. Lee's office, whistling and singing. He shouted at her for ruining all of their plans, but Karma replied that, for her, everything was just like a game. This made him even angrier, but Karma told him to relax, saying she actually had a better plan. Before he could respond, Mr. Lee called Karma inside. The assistant warned her to behave in front of him. As soon as Karma entered, 4 guards restrained her and pinned her to the floor. Surprised, Karma asked Mr. Lee why this was happening. Mr. Lee told her that her new father was very disappointed in her. He took a revolver from his assistant, reloaded it, and aimed it at her. He reminded her that he had warned her before, if she ruined things, he would not forgive her. Then he asked if it was finally time for them to have a father and daughter meeting. Mr. Lee told Karma it was time to say goodbye. Karma replied that before he did anything, she wanted to say something. She told him that his plan and the assistant's plan was useless. When he asked why, she explained that his plan was weak compared to the humiliation his daughter had suffered at the hands of Sung, who had forced her into cruel situations like wearing a dog leash and entering the boys' bathroom. She added that she once thought Mr. Lee would do anything for his daughter's revenge, but now he looked weak and controlled. Mr. Lee asked her how, with her brain damage and experiments making her unable to feel shame, she could even understand humiliation. Karma answered that while she did not feel it herself, she enjoyed watching others in such situations. By seeing their expressions, she knew knew exactly when someone was feeling humiliated. Mr. Lee paused for a few minutes, then lowered his revolver and told everyone to leave the room. His assistant objected, but Mr. Lee firmly ordered them again to leave him alone with Karma. When the room was clear, Mr. Lee warned Karma that this was her final chance. If she disobeyed him again, there would be no forgiveness next time. He then asked if she had completed the task he gave her. Karma pulled out a USB drive and handed it to him, saying she had recorded every voice and every sound from the earlier incident. As Karma left, Mr. Lee inserted the USB into the loudspeaker and listened to the screams and cries from Sung and her brother. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sung's brother was receiving treatment. Their parents were left in shock when the doctor informed them that he would not be able to marry in the future. Sung's father became furious and ordered all his relatives, staff, and lawyers to prepare to confront those responsible. After a phone call, he asked Sung if Karma had done anything else to her besides injuring her face. Still in shock, Sung was about to mention the photos Karma had taken, but then remembered that those images were still on her own phone. So instead, she told her father that she was fine. Suddenly, her father received a call from Mr. Lee, asking them to meet him at his office the next day. When Sung's parents arrived at the building, they were stunned to realize that Karma's stepfather was Mr. Lee, the same man who had once forgiven their daughter and son in the case involving his own daughter. Sung's father quickly understood the situation and told Mr. Lee directly that he knew this was all about revenge. But Mr. Lee replied that it was nothing more than a fight between children and that he had already forgiven them. Seeking revenge, he said, was meaningless. Sung's father then threatened to expose him to the media, claiming he was using a minor to carry out personal revenge. Mr. Lee ignored the threat and instead said he would first explain about compensation. He reminded Sung's father that he was running a company and wanted to expand into the Southeast Asian market. Mr. Lee told him that his group would fully support this expansion, which shocked Sung's father, as it meant the largest group in the country was offering to back his business. Lee then turned to Sung's mother, saying he knew she was very interested in a certain luxury store. If she agreed to his proposal, she would immediately receive VIP status with full priority benefits. Sung's mother was instantly attracted to the idea. Lee also mentioned that he knew about their family history of cancer, and for that, his group's hospital, the largest cancer hospital in the country, would provide the best treatment available for both her parents and for them as well. In addition, he offered to ensure proper care for Jin W's remaining condition to avoid any future complications, along with covering all medical expenses for his broken limbs. He then presented them with a bag of money worth $2 billion, even after taxes. On top of that, he promised them an apartment in a luxury district where property prices were valued in the billions. Mr. Lee then asked if the compensation he offered was enough. Sung's father suddenly laughed and eagerly accepted the deal, acting completely loyal to Mr. Lee. Sung's mother, still worried about her children, asked her husband to reconsider, but he silenced her, saying he had already decided everything. He accepted all of Mr. Lee's offers, but Mr. Lee added that there were conditions. The first was that the agreement in the bullying case must remain strictly confidential, as he was a public figure and could not risk controversy. Sung's parents immediately agreed. When they asked about the second condition, Mr. Lee called Karma into the room. He told them that the next condition was for Karma to continue attending high school, and that he wanted their daughter to become Karma's friend, since Karma was new to the country and still adjusting to her surroundings. Since Mr. Lee was close to the chairman of the high school, he asked Sung's parents to allow Karma to continue her studies there. Karma then formally apologized to them. She told them that, as part of the compensation, she would become close friends with Sung and help her improve her school record with positive marks. Sung's mother thought this would be good for her daughter's reputation. If Sung was seen making peace with someone she had bullied, it would reflect well on her and strengthen her college applications. For Sung's father, Karma explained that by building a friendship, the bond between her and Sung would remain strong even after graduation, which would also keep their family connected to Mr. Lee's powerful group. Karma bowed and apologized again, and after hearing all this, Sung's parents quickly agreed to the conditions and asked Karma to get along well with their daughter. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Sung felt pleased, imagining Karma must be crying and begging her father, and that she would soon be expelled from school. She believed that, in the end, she would have the last laugh. Back in middle school, Sung had once put a dog leash on Mr. Lee's daughter and forced her to walk in the boys' bathroom. When she refused, Sung made her bark like a dog and even recorded videos and took photos of her. These memories often returned in Mr. Lee's dreams, as he had already read about them in his daughter's diary, where she described the bullying. The next day at school, everyone was surprised to see Karma back in class. Sung grew irritated at the sight of her and recalled how her father had told her the previous day to get along with Karma, since everything had been settled with her parents. Since Karma was now staying at the school, the plan was for her to become Sung's close friend. Among the students, only Olivia seemed happy and excited to see Karma back in class. Karma approached Sung and her friends, telling them they should get along. She then called all three of them to the front of the class and announced they would play a roleplay game as friends, with her as the owner. Pulling a dog leash out of her bag, she said the game would be called Walking Dog. One of the girls nervously asked if it meant what they were thinking, and Karma replied that it wasn't, then explained the game involved putting a leash on them and walking them around. At that moment, she realized it actually was exactly what they were thinking. This shocked the entire class, including the president, Moon. Karma explained that since it was a role-playing game, each of them should have a role. She said the cheerful girl would be a beagle, the one with a long face would be a Doberman, and Sung would be a Chihuahua. This immediately angered Sung. She threw the leash aside and shouted at Karma, saying she wasn't foolish enough to follow her, and that she knew Karma was only pretending to be her friend. Karma then began fake crying, saying she only wanted to be friends and play a game with her. She sat back down, scrolled on her phone, and added that she would never force a friend to do something they didn't want to do. Acting sad, Karma said she needed a mood booster and would distract herself with another hobby. When Sung asked what it was, Karma replied that it was posting lots of interesting photos on social media. Sung became frightened and started begging Karma not to do it. Karma asked why she wasn't stopping her if she truly didn't want to be friends, and warned that if she refused to play, she would simply post some of her good photos instead. Picking up the leash again, Karma asked if Sung would go along. With no other choice, Sung agreed and took the leash. She walked through the school hallway as Karma's dog, while Karma made the other two girls record everything. Other students who had been bullied by Sung laughed at the sight. When Sung shouted at them in anger, Karma pulled the leash and told her that dogs don't talk, they bark. Karma then told Sung's friends that if their filming wasn't good enough, the next day they would also have to walk around school the same way. Finally, she announced to everyone that Sung and the others were her friends and that they were all doing this with each other's consent. Karma told Sung that, at the pace they were going, they would soon reach the boys' classroom before the break. This shocked Sung, and she began begging again, but Karma replied that it had to be at least one full lap to count as a walk. She added that it wasn't like she was taking Sung to the boys' bathroom, like others had once done. Sung was startled and asked how Karma knew about that. Before she could say more, Karma kicked her lightly and told her to keep moving. When Sung tried to resist, Karma dragged her toward the boys' classroom. As they arrived, the boys inside saw Sung being walked on a leash, and she broke down crying. Some boys then asked Karma to let them hold the leash and walk their dog. Karma introduced them as students who had often been bullied by Sung's older brother, and by Sung herself. Karma handed the leash to one of the boys, and Sung immediately shouted at him. The boy complained to Karma, asking what kind of dog talks. Sung quickly looked at Karma, who appeared angry, and out of fear, she stopped speaking. Karma then told Sung to keep walking and endure the humiliation. Since the school hallway was long, Karma began charging 1,000 to anyone who wanted a turn walking the dog. Many students eagerly paid, some even for multiple laps. After it was over, Karma finally brought Sung back to the classroom and stopped in front of President Moon. She then ordered Sung to bark at the president. Karma warned Sung that if she barked without effort, she would share her photos everywhere. Scared, Sung immediately began barking at the president without holding back. The president tried to ignore her, but when the barking continued, she snapped her pencil in anger and asked Karma what she wanted. Karma calmly said she was only walking her dog and reminded the president not to get upset since her dog didn't bite. She added that whatever mess her dog caused, she would take full responsibility, so the president could just focus on her studies. The president got up from her desk and walked out of the classroom. She was certain that Mr. Lee was backing Karma, and she realized that she might be the next target, so she knew she had to come up with a plan.